Isagi Yoichi's growth in Blue Lock has been anything but normal. It hasn't mattered whether he has faced literal pros, new generation 11 players, or even the best player in the world, and he has managed to rival all of them. However, how is it possible for him to go from someone who had his dreams crushed at the start to now basically being the savior of Japanese football and gaining the nickname the Demon King? But how did Isagi even get this insanely good? Well, that's what I will go over today, as I will go over all of his level ups in the story of Blue Lock, starting with his first power up right at the start in the tag game. Here, Isagi had the chance to go the easy way out and to just get out Igarashi. However, as he was about to completely crush Igarashi's dreams and hopes, he suddenly stopped, thinking that he came here to become the best in the world, and with that, he finally awakened his inner ego. He skipped going for Igarashi and went for the one stronger than him, and it ended up with him actually defeating their strongest player, Kira, instead, showing us how much an intense ego really matters. After that, he got his next level up in the game against Team Y. Firstly, he awakened his ability to read the field. While it is still in its early stage, he was still able to realize that Nico was the one controlling Team Y, and because of that, he read him and shut him down. Not to mention that it also led him to scoring his first goal, even though he simply brushed it off as sheer luck and said that he was almost able to smell the goal. It was without a doubt him being able to read the field and running to the best spot that allowed him to make this awesome goal, not to mention aura farming in front of Nico, as he realized how good it feels to crush others. His next level up comes to him in the game against Team 5, where Kunigami has just made the scores even. But Isagi thinks that everything that happened was just like how he had played it out in his mind, which led him to believe that he could read the field's future with his eyes. That also played a part in his next level up, as in the same game he was able to combine his spatial awareness and knowledge about the field together with a direct shot, which firstly made him score the final goal, but it also led to it becoming his signature weapon, as he had just acquired his own and unique goal formula which he could use to mass produce goals. His next level up happens against the Blue Lock man. Isagi realizes that until now, he has managed to score thanks to Bachira, Kunigami, and Chigiri. But that doesn't work here, as he needs to get stronger by himself. He puts his brain to full action as he uses all of his abilities at once, reading the defenders, thinking about the ball's trajectory, and then hit it perfectly. However, he still missed, so there was one piece missing, which was his ability to shoot cleanly. With that in mind, he went easier on the shooting power, and instead focused on the impact point which made him score. Here he realizes that while his spatial awareness and direct shot can lead to a goal, he also needs to take into consideration the positioning and impact point. We then move on to the 2 vs 2 match against Baru, where his next level up lies. Here he realizes his crucial issue. He had a weapon that could lead him to score. However, he lacked something for him to use in one-on-ones to ultimately get to the goal. In this game, he quickly understood that there is more to one-on-ones than just when you have the ball, but also your off-the-ball movement. Combining that with him seeing Naruhaya trying to copy his direct shot, that's when he got the genius idea to devour Naruhaya's own talent, which is his blind spot ability. He used his knowledge of the human eye, and with the help of that, he was able to get into Baru's blind spot and then score the goal with his direct shot. Here he managed to adapt and devour Naruhaya's talent and copy it and make it his own, bringing him into the territory of genius and also making Naruhaya call him a genius of adaptability. After that, we get into the 3 vs 3 match against Team Chigiri, where his next level up is. In the beginning, he was super focused on trying to get everyone to play together, but as Baru is who he is, it was simply impossible, and Isagi knew that he needed to use another approach. That's when he thought back to the game with Naruhaya and understood that he needed to devour Baru to get stronger. He abandoned his vision of them playing together and then simply used Baru as bait as he himself devoured him by adapting to his irregular playstyle, once again showing us why he is the adaptability genius. The next level up is in the rematch game against Rin. For the whole game, Isagi has always fallen just one step behind of Rin. No matter what he did, he couldn't compete. But Isagi realizes that everything that Rin was doing was purely because he was his opponent. Rin shot the free kick above his head because he knew that Isagi wouldn't be able to get it. With this in mind, Isagi knew what he had to do. As if he could utilize himself from a different angle, he could devour Rin, and it's exactly what he did. As Isagi was going to the pass sent by Chigiri, he had anticipated that Rin would come to the same conclusion, and because of that, try and stop Isagi. However, as Isagi was aware of that, he made a super unpredictable play that Rin could have never seen coming, which then led to his godly backheel goal. But all of this was possible because Isagi had realized that players play differently against each other, and with that knowledge, he had to do something Rin had no chance chance of predicting, which I mean worked out pretty well. We then move on to the third selection, where Isagi had just barely missed the pass from Hiyori, saying that his body couldn't keep up, but that's when Hiyori told him that he had to reverse his way of doing things. Instead of seeing, thinking, and then moving, he had to do those three in reverse. This advice greatly helped him, and with the help of him moving reflexively, he managed to get to the ball faster than both Rin and Shido. This allowed him to obviously score the final goal, but we also see that Ego saw this play and was impressed. By reversing his way of thinking, he wasn't waiting any longer, and he now has to adapt while moving, giving him more time to move around. Now, I wouldn't really call this next one a level up. However, it's too iconic to leave out, so I had to quickly talk about the luck goal. He didn't evolve or anything, as he instead used everything he has already learned to then utilize it to get this goal. But it's such a full circle moment, as he was crushed by Rin before by pure luck, and this time he was able to use it himself and become the savior of Blue Lock. Now, I also have to mention that thanks to Isagi joining Bastard Munchen, he got a massive level up. He didn't acquire some sort of insane weapon right away, but instead, all of his specs jumped up a bunch thanks to the ruthless training, making him a just overall better player. After that, we go all the way to the Munchen City versus Bastard Munchen game, where Isagi awakens his iconic metavision. He realizes that he needs to use his peripheral vision to see the entire field, which is just what Kaiser has done to this point. He needs to take in everything that is happening in his brain and process it. His brain then starts to work overtime as he is able to gather everything that is happening. Teammates, rivals, or anything else, it doesn't matter, as Isagi is currently processing everything inside his brain. Even Kaiser admitted that he had come to his dimension. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to score in the end, as both Kunigami and Kaiser got in his way. However, with Metavision, he is now able to be on equal footing with Kaiser, and with them seeing the same thing. It's now a battle of pure ability. However, I have to mention that one drawback with Metavision is that it drains a ton of your mental but also physical stamina, so right now he doesn't have the stamina to use it for the whole game. However, after this game, he has no problem with that. Now moving on, we get into the Ubers versus Bastard Munchen match. Now he got one of his most important level ups yet, which is of course his left direct shot. Before, he had always been bound to having to shoot with his right leg. However, now that's no longer a problem, as he can use both. But how exactly did he do it? Well, I'm not too sure if there even is that much data on that. However, we know that he went to Kunigami seeking advice, but Kunigami told him that he wasn't going to help, as Isagi would most likely end up destroying his specs if he tried to become ambidextrous. But they then got into a 2 versus 2 match with Chigiri and Bachira, and that apparently gave Isagi a hint to acquiring this. But with that said, becoming ambidextrous is something truly almost impossible, so this current Isagi isn't able to use it to its fullest potential yet, but just him having the ability to score with both of his feet gives him double the amount of scoring options. However, that's not everything he got from the Ubers game, as in the same game he got another level up with Hiyori, as together they decided to reflexively put their winning vision together and put full trust in each other, which led to their ultimate duo goal. Moving on to the PXG game, where I think most of you know where I'm going with this, but it's here he created his legendary 2-gun volley. Now the insane thing about this ability is that it was purely done on the spot, as from the start, he didn't expect Rin and Kaiser to be there and stop him. That's why he had to crank his brain up to the max, and in that split second, he remembered Nagi's juggling shot and decided to combine it into his own attack, and with his new ambidexterity, it was easy for him to create this madness of an ability. Even Isagi looked totally fired up after he had created it, and he even called it an incredible weapon. Now we arrive at his last level up, which we actually don't know too much about. We know that Ego gave him a bunch of DVDs for him to use to study, more specifically to study the moments that change the game, such as traps, passes, and dribbles, a whole collection of plays that create the smell of a goal. He also went firstly to Spain, but also to England to watch some of their pro matches, which was used for his training. Now some of that will for sure come in handy later down the line, but currently it's still a bit of a mystery, just how it will help him reach the next level. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have counted down all of Isagi's level ups. If you have another topic you want me to cover and go over, then please leave it down in the comments, and please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed it.